This Saturday is UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi. Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. And this is going to be my full card predictions. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you a quick breakdown and prediction. Starting off with the very first fight of the night. Sedriques Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. Listen, Tiuliulin's coming in on a 3-fight losing streak. He got brutalized by Christian Leroy Duncan in his last fight and finished. Before that, he got brutalized by Gregory Rodriguez. Before that, he got brutalized by Young Park, finished in all 3 of those fights. His last win was Jamie Pickett 2 years ago. Before that, he got finished by another guy whose name I can't pronounce. So it's been a while. Dumas is coming off a loss against Bedoya, but he got eye poked. It's kind of controversial. Before that, 1-2 fights. Listen, Tiuliulin wants to keep it standing. He doesn't have very good striking. His takedown defense is okay, but he can be out-grappled. He's been out-grappled in the past. I'm going to pick Dumas. I'm going to pick Dumas to finish him. You know, you look at Dumas, 28 years old, 36 years old, Denis Tiuliulin. So I think Dumas, whether it's ground and pound, whether he catches him with a big shot on the feet, I think Dumas is better on the feet or close to just as good, definitely more power. And I think he definitely has better grappling. So even if they're even on the feet, the grappling will help set up the shots. And I think eventually Tiuliulin's getting finished. I mean, he's got finished in 4 out of his last 5. So what's to say he's not going to get finished in this fight? So I'll pick Sedriques Dumas to get it done. Second round TKO. It's just like Tiuliulin takes so much damage and then eventually he just gets finished. And in his last few fights, I mean, he got brutalized in every single one of them. Duncan put a lot of damage on him. Rodriguez put a lot of damage on him. Young Park didn't do as much, but he did beat him up pretty badly too, honestly. So he's taking a lot of damage. He's 36 years old. He's going to lose to the 28-year-old Sedriques Dumas. I'm picking Dumas, second round TKO. Next fight on the card, Jai Herbert versus Rolando Bedoya. You know, this fight I feel like could go either way. Jai Herbert is kind of underrated in a way. I mean, he lost to Ferziem. The fight before that, he got a point deduction, and it ended up being a draw. Otherwise, he would have beat Ludovic Klein, which would have been a decent win. He beat Kyle Nelson. That's aged quite well. Topuria, he almost beat. And then you have Bedoya, who got overhyped because he came in and fought Chaos Williams to a split decision. Then he lost to Kenan Song. It's a pretty easy pick. But I feel like it could go either way. I feel like it could backfire. But you have to go Jai Herbert in this fight. I'm going to pick Jai Herbert to win via decision. I mean, he has a lot of TKOs on his record. He has 9 TKOs out of 12 wins. But Rolando Bedoya has never been finished. He likes to brawl. He's durable. He's not a guy who, you know, just eats a lot of shots on the chin. And Jai Herbert really doesn't have like one-punch KO power, even though he does have a lot of finishes. You know, you look at his last few fights, you know, when's the last time? He hasn't got a finish since Kamala Worthy, and that was almost 3 years ago. And Bedoya, that is his style. You know, he's a brawler. He's ready to move forward. I think Jai Herbert's just a little bit crisper on the feet. And Jai Herbert has decent grappling as well. So I'm going to pick Jai Herbert to win. Probably a 30-27 decision or 29-28 decision. Bedoya squeaks out like a competitive round, if anything. I'm picking Jai Herbert to get it done via decision. Next fight on the card, Viktoria Dudakova versus Sam Hughes. What a barn burner this is. I have to go Viktoria Dudakova. I'm picking her via this decision. I think, you know, Sam Hughes lost to Yasmin Jauregui in her last fight. Not a horrible loss to have. Beat Jacqueline Amorin, but was losing early, and then Amorin just completely gassed. Lost to Pierre Rodriguez. Beat Elise Reed. Beat Estela Nunes. Viktoria Dudakova's 8-0. Has better striking. Has decent grappling. She can be taken down and held down. Jinyu Fry in her last fight actually took her down and held her down a decent amount. But Sam Hughes isn't that type of fighter. She can't just go out there and dominate you in the grappling and beat you up on the ground, and her striking is lackluster. It's not good. I think Dudakova is going to go out there and be able to stuff the takedowns, land on the feet, outstrike her, win a decision. I think she's better everywhere. I mean, it's women's MMA, so it could go either way. You know, it's one of those fights where you pick Viktoria Dudakova. Oh, she's 8-0. She's 25 years old. You know, she's talented. But you never know with women's MMA, but I'm picking Viktoria Dudakova to get it done via decision. I'm going to say 29-28. Maybe Sam Hughes squeaks out a round. Next fight on the card, we have Guram Kutateladze versus Jordan Vucenic. I don't know. I never actually heard his pronunciation of his name, even though I watched some of his fights in Cage Warriors. Listen, Guram was kind of overhyped for a bit. He was, but I still think he's really good. He was overhyped, but he was still very good. Again, I talked about it recently, overrated, underrated. I think you can be overrated and still be very, very good, and I think Guram's very, very good. He lost to Elvis Brenner, who's actually on this card too. Banger of a fight, was winning early, faded, got finished late. Lost to Demir Magulov via split decision, not a horrible loss to have, and has a win over Mateusz Gamrot. So, and the win over Gamrot, honestly, Kutateladze lost, but it was competitive enough that he got a robbery win. But I think Guram, really good on the feet, really good kickboxer, really durable. His stamina can fail him. Jordan Vucenic, I watched some of his Cage Warrior fights. He primarily wants to strike. He has good movement. He has a decent jab. But he's not even fighting the best. Like, he's not fighting great level of opposition. 12-8, 10-4, 13-8, 6-0. He lost to a guy who was 8-1, Paul Hughes, about 2 years ago. He is young. He's 28, but I think this is too much of a step up too soon for Jordan Vucenic. I think he loses, but I think he's going to survive. I think he's good enough on the feet. I think he's good enough on the ground that I think he'll be able to survive the barrage of Kutateladze. And I don't think Kutateladze is just going to go out there and wreck him. I think Kutateladze is going to go out there knowing he needs a win. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. He's going to conserve some energy early. Vucenic has some decent striking, some decent movement on the feet, can defend takedowns. He can be taken down and controlled a bit. I think it was the fight against Adrian Kepa. It was either that or the Simon fight, the fight before that, where, he was taken down and controlled a little bit. I don't see Guram going out there and just nonstop grappling. I think Guram will mix in the grappling, but I don't see him getting the finish. I think Guram will be a little bit more conservative in this fight, considering he's on a 2-fight losing streak. And I'm going to pick Guram Kutateladze via decision. Next fight on the card, we have Shamil Gaziev versus Dontale Mayes. The heavyweight battle. I love the heavyweight division. They're so elite. They're so good. They're so, skilled. Shamil Gaziev, my doppelganger. We have the exact same physique. Is an absolute savage. I know in his last fight, he retired mid-fight because he was exhausted. But he fought Jairzinho Rozenstruik. There was a big jump up the ladder in heavyweight. Jairzinho is a really decent heavyweight, a mid-tier heavyweight. And, he went from Martin Budai to Rozenstruik, and he got exposed a bit in a 5-rounder. Why would he take a 5-rounder if he has no cardio? But listen, Dontale Mayes is garbage. Caio Machado lost to Rodrigo Nascimento, beat Andrei Arlovsky, who gives a shit, lost to Augusto Sakai, I'm sorry. Dontale Mayes is just big for nothing. He's just big, likes to take you down, try to get you into north-south and hump your face. He pulls off a move that Michael Chandler would love for Conor McGregor to do on him. But listen, Gaziev is big. He's strong. He throws a lot of volume. He's well-rounded. He doesn't have, the best, most technical striking, but it's the heavyweight division. I think he's faster than Dontale Mayes. I think Dontale Mayes will get stuffed when he tries to take him down. Dontale Mayes doesn't have the best entries. I'm picking Shamil Gaziev to get it done. And you know what? I'm going to pick Shamil Gaziev to finish him. Shamil Gaziev has 12 fights, 12 wins. He has 13 fights, 12 wins. 11 of those wins are via finish. So I'm going to pick him to finish Dontale Mayes. I'd say he KOs him in the first round. I think Shamil Gaziev is a much better striker than Dontale Mayes. And I think he goes out there and gets it done via first round KO. Next fight on the card, Muhammad Yahya versus Kaue Fernandes. Neither one of these guys is particularly great, but I'm going to be honest, Yahya looked like dog shit against Trevor Peek. He's kind of a well-rounded fighter. He fought in UAE Warriors. I think he was a champion at one point, fought 5 rounds. I picked him against Trevor Peek. And, I just don't think he's good. And look at the level of opposition he's fighting. 5-3 outside the UFC, 7-4, 7-2. He has okay striking, okay grappling. But Trevor Peek's walking him down and rocking him. And he's looking sluggish in the first round. Kaue Fernandes, I think, is much better. He has good kicks, good striking, decent takedown defense. He lost to Mark Jacasey, but it was a close fight. And Jacasey has decent grappling. I don't think Yahya's going to be able to implement the grappling like that. Before that, he's winning via head kick. Before that, he's winning via body kick. He lost to a guy who's 7-0 3 years ago in LFA. He's 29 years old. They have the same height and reach. Look, what I'm basing this entire pick off of is Muhammad Yahya looked horrible. Looked absolutely horrible against Trevor Peek. And I don't think Trevor Peek's that good. I love watching him fight. You know, he fights like crazy, like a madman. But Muhammad Yahya looked like garbage in that fight. I think Trevor Peek even took him down. Was beating him up on the feet and took him down. So I'm going to pick Kaue Fernandes via decision. I just think he's going to outstrike him. I think he could mix in the grappling and take him down. And, yeah, I mean, Mark Chiesa has decent grappling. I think he has way better grappling than Yahya. I don't think Yahya is going to be able to mix in the grappling. So Muhammad Yahya is going to have to win on the feet, and I don't think he's going to be able to because Fernandes has decent hands, has decent kicks, has decent movement, is relatively fast. I think he's faster than Yahya, and I think he has the better striking than Yahya. So I'm going Kaue Fernandes. I'm going to say like 30-27 decision. Next fight on the card, we have Alonzo Menenfield versus Azamat Murzakanov. I really honestly could see this going either way. Alonzo Menenfield has crazy one-punch KO power. Crazy one-punch KO power. But if he doesn't land that, he's not that good. His grappling isn't that good. His takedown defense isn't that good. He's coming off a loss against Carlos Ulberg where he got brutally chinned badly in the first round before they beat Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby was actually boxing him up, but he kept rocking Dustin Jacoby, so he won. Before that, he beat Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute's an absolute scrub. Before that, went to a majority decision against Jimmy Crute. I think there was a point deduction, if I'm not mistaken, something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what happened in that fight, but they had to run it back because it was a draw. And, you know, it's just, look, Alonzo Menenfield, I'm not going to trust him to get it done. I think Azamat, you look at his recent fights, he fought Dustin Jacoby in his last fight, was tagging him up, was rocking him, was real crisp on the feet. And I think that unless Azamat gets clipped badly by Menenfield, what's possible, Menenfield likes to run forward and throw big, sloppy power shots, but has no grappling. I think Murzakanov has grappling in the bag. He's not the best grappler. You know, a lot of people say, oh, he's from Russia. He's got Murzakanov, the OV at the end. He must be an excellent grappler. He's a decent grappler, but he's not a guy that's going to go out there and grind you down and beat you up. He's a striker. And he was outstriking Dustin Jacoby the entire fight. Dustin Jacoby was outstriking Alonzo Menenfield. And I know Jacoby got rocked multiple times, which lost him the fight. But Murzakanov has nasty KO power, crazy finishing instinct. He's 13-0 with 9 KOs, and he's super aggressive as well. I do not trust his cardio, but it's a 3-round fight. I don't trust Menenfield's cardio either. He's got garbage cardio. He'll fade after the first round if it's a heavy pace. So I'm going to pick Murzakanov. I'm going to pick Murzakanov to get it done. It'll probably be like a first or second round KO for Murzakanov. I think he's the much crisper striker. I think he'll hurt Menenfield on the feet. I think he'll, you know, be super aggressive, plot forward, and just outstrike him and then find a big shot, and then the killer instinct will kick in, and he'll just throw a nasty barrage and probably slump out Menenfield again. Similar to how he got slept against Carlos Ulberg, which was only 2 months ago. So a quick turnaround too. How can you pick Menenfield in this fight now that I think about it? 2-month turnaround coming from a brutal KO against Carlos Ulberg. I'm picking Azamat Murzakanov. I'm going to say he slumps him out in the first round. Murzakanov's very, very aggressive. And even if Menenfield rocks him, Murzakanov can mix in the grappling. Past the first round, Menenfield's takedown defense decreases significantly after the first round when he starts to slow down. So I'm going to pick Azamat to get it done. First round KO. Moving up the card to the first fight on the main card. And this card is actually nasty. I love this card. We have Yoel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. This is a heater, man. This is a real heater. I'm really looking forward to this fight. Who do you take in this matchup? I went back and forth on this. I really did. Because Yoel Alvarez, even though I'm embarrassed to say it, I picked him against Arman Tsarukyan. He got absolutely destroyed in that fight. And then his most recent fight against Mark Chiesa, which was a year ago, he won and he got a finish there. Darce choke. He was getting tagged on the feet, and Chiesa has garbage striking. I know he was mixing in the grappling and, you know, whatnot, but I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I just watched that earlier tonight, and Chiesa was tagging him on the feet. Not often, but a decent amount. If Elvis Brenner starts hitting you like that and starts kind of getting the momentum going, he's going to walk you down and beat you up, and Brenner is nasty everywhere. So I could see Yoel Alvarez winning. I mean, he's a nasty finisher. He has 20 of 20 via finish. 20 wins, 20 finishes, 17 via submission, though. A lot of them are via guillotine. He loves to snatch up the guillotine on desperation takedowns. It's crazy. He has a massive size advantage, though. You know, some people might call him a weight bully for the lightweight weight class. I mean, he's 5 inches taller and has a 5-inch reach advantage over Elvis Brenner, which makes me want to pick him now that I think about it. But Brenner's such a dog. I mean, against Miktabek Oralbai, who's a savage with nasty grappling, he almost came back and won that. He had Oralbai in all sorts of trouble in the third round, had him mount it. And the scrambles Brenner showed were excellent on the ground. So my pick is going to be based on grittiness, toughness, and the skill level I think is relatively even. I think Yoel Alvarez is going to have success early, and maybe it's going to look like he's going to win, but I think Elvis Brenner is going to come back. I think he's going to come back and win. We've seen it against Guram Kutateladze. He was losing that fight, came back and got a TKO in the third round. I think Elvis Brenner, he's just too much of a dog. He's a savage. He's good everywhere. While I think Alvarez, you know, the reach advantage, the height advantage, he is a threat, you know, with submissions in his BJJ. But I think Elvis Brenner is too much of a dog, man. Every fight that he's in, he never goes away. It's impossible to get him away. And I don't think Yoel Alvarez is that great of a striker. Again, he was getting lit up by, not lit up, that's an exaggeration, but getting touched up by Jacasey on the feet, who's garbage on the feet. So if he can do that, I think Elvis Brenner can clip him up on the feet. And if you have Yoel shooting, Elvis Brenner's jiu-jitsu is nasty. I mean, he has 14 finishes, 11 subs, and he's never been subbed or finished. So I'm going to pick Brenner to get it done. And I think Elvis Brenner's going to finish him. I'm going to pick Elvis Brenner, third round TKO, competitive back and forth fight, maybe fight of the night. And when the going gets tough, I know who I'm taking. I'm taking Elvis Brenner to get it done. I'm going to say Elvis Brenner finishes an exhausted Yoel Alvarez in the third round, out scrambles him, ends up on top, and just finishes him with brutal ground and pound. Yoel Alvarez is just going to be spent, similar to the way Arman beat the piss out of him. I know that was more of a dominant performance by Arman, but I think that's what the finishing sequence will kind of look like. It'll be like, okay, Alvarez gave his last bit of energy, now he's getting finished. So I'm picking Elvis Brenner, third round TKO. Next fight on the card. Damn, we got a lot of name value on this card. We have Mackenzie Dern versus Lupita Godinez. This is another fight that really genuinely could go either way. I'm going to go Lupita Godinez. I'm going to pick her via decision. I think I picked Mackenzie Dern against Lemos. I think I picked her against Andrade. I'm jumping off the ship. You know, sometimes I jump on the ship. Sometimes I jump off the ship. You look at Bilal Muhammad. I picked against him and picked against him and picked against him. And finally I said, you know what? I'm not doubting this guy anymore. I picked him against Burns, and then I picked him against Leon Edwards. At this point, I'm jumping off the Mackenzie Dern ship, okay? I picked her against two high-level women who I thought might get submitted, and she got beat up, and she got destroyed. And, you know, she took a lot of damage against Jessica Andrade, and her takedown entries and her wrestling just look like garbage. And Lupita Godinez has good wrestling, has good striking. Mackenzie Dern has horrible entries. If she gets her to the ground or gets Lupita Godinez to really indulge her on the ground, I could see Mackenzie Dern finding a submission. But I'm going to pick Lupi to win on the feet. I think Dern's striking has gotten better, but chin's up in the air. I think Lupita's getting better. She's coming off a loss against Verna Jandiroba. That loss has aged rather well, and that was a close fight, relatively close fight. Verna won it, but it was a competitive fight. Verna Jandiroba, arguably number one contender right now. Mackenzie Dern's going to lose this fight. She's going to look lost on the feet. She's going to have some success. Chin's going to be up in the air. She's going to be rushing forward. She's not going to be able to take Lupita Godinez down. She's probably going to try to pull guard. Lupita Godinez will be smart enough to try to disengage when she needs to. And if she has to, she'll follow her down to the ground and be very safe. And I think Lupita Godinez is going to have the advantage on the feet. So I'm picking Lupita Godinez to get it done. I'm going to say she wins via decision. I don't see her getting a finish. I mean, she beat Tabitha Ritchie via split decision. She beat Elise Reed, rear naked choke. Emily Ducote, split this, or unanimous decision. Cynthia Calvillo, split decision. So I'm not picking Mackenzie Dern anymore. I know, you know, there's a lot of simps out there for her, and they probably want her to win. But getting finished by Andrade, she's lost 3 out of her last 5. Now, she's fought really solid competition, better competition probably than Godinez. I mean, I don't know. I mean, overall better competition, but Verna Jandiroba is very, very tough. I don't think Dern is going to be able to get Godinez down and hold her down. And I think Godinez is going to have the advantage on the feet. So I'm picking Lupita Godinez, Lupi Godinez. I'm going to pick her via decision. I'm going to say 30-27 decision. I'm totally off the Dern bandwagon. Next fight on the card. No. Why? Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. Man, guys, this is actually devastating. I don't want to see this anymore. I mean, what's the losing streak now up to? My mind has blocked it out. Tony Ferguson is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what I thought. 7-fight losing streak. 7-fight losing streak. The last time he won was 2 years before I even started the channel. He has not won a fight since 2019. Justin Gaethje took his soul. Charles Oliveira beat him up. Beneil Dariush beat him up. Michael Chandler kicked his head into orbit. And Michael Chandler's still living off that win. That's craziness. Lost to Nate Diaz. Lost to Bobby Green. Lost to Paddy Pimblett. Progressively worse opposition. He's a dead body. Tony Ferguson's a dead body. I don't bring joy in bringing this to you. I don't bring joy into saying this. Now, Michael Chiesa is kind of a dead body, too. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. Lost to Kevin Holland. Lost to Sean Brady. Lost to Vicente Luque. But Tony Ferguson is a dead body that's been buried in the ground, and it is completely decayed. It is completely decayed. Michael Chiesa is like getting embalmed right now, okay? And Michael Chiesa has been he was at lightweight for a while, but he's been welterweight, I feel like, the majority of his career, or for at least for as long as I can remember, outside of when he first entered the UFC. I mean, for the last few years, probably last 4, 5, 6 years, I'm not looking at it right now, he's been up at welterweight. And people have been saying, I don't know how he ever fought at lightweight. He's going to have a size advantage. He's a heavy grappler. He has good jiu-jitsu. Unfortunately, he's probably going to sub Tony. If Bobby Green's beating him via triangle choke, Michael Chiesa is probably going to beat him similar. So I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa has garbage striking, man. And he's old too. He's 36, but Tony's 40. Tony's 40 years old. I have to pick Michael Chiesa. I'm going to say he submits him in round 2. I'm going to say rear naked choke. Gets him down, full mounts him, starts beating him up. Tony gives up his back. Michael Chiesa chokes him out. Tony Ferguson isn't even going to tap. I'm sad to see this. I don't want to see Tony fight again. I don't. Get him off the card. I'm glad we don't have to watch Nick Diaz fight on this card. I know some people were upset about that. I didn't want to see it. Nick is a dead body too. I don't know why they didn't do Ferguson versus Diaz. That's what they should have done. Both Tony Ferguson and Nick Diaz are about the same level of rigor mortis, so would have made a lot of sense. But Michael Chiesa is going to get it done. I have no hope for Tony Ferguson getting a win. I will never pick Tony Ferguson in any fight ever again. I mean, when you show up for work for 5 years and you don't get a win, I'm not going to trust that you get your job done against Michael Chiesa. I'm picking Michael Chiesa. I'm going to say second round rear naked choke. Next fight on the card, the featured fight on the card, we have Marlon Chito Vera versus Deiveson Figueiredo. This is a heater, guys. This is a heater. I love this fight. 2 top 10 guys in the bantamweight division. From the second that this fight was announced, I'm going to be honest. I already knew my pick, and there's no way I'm deviating from it. I'm going Deiveson Figueiredo. Marlon Vera, don't get me wrong, he's durable, he's gritty, versatile in his attacks. He's not particularly fast, and his ground game is ass. He can be taken down and controlled. And what did we see in Figgy's last fight? Took Cody Garbrandt down, worked him over, rear naked choke. Before that, dominated Rob Font. I mean, it was a bit competitive, but used his grappling and striking. Marlon Vera is coming off a brutal beatdown against Sean O'Malley in a fight he never deserved. Beat Pedro Munoz, squeaked by Pedro Munoz. Before that, lost to Cory Sandhagen. Split decision, should not have been a split decision. Before that, head kick KO Dominic Cruz, was even losing that fight. Before that, beat Rob Font. Rob Font won 22 minutes of that fight, but Marlon Vera rocked him like every single round, even landed a sweet chin music. So, to be honest, Marlon Vera, his resume isn't even that good. Even the wins that he has aren't that good. And Deiveson Figueiredo is a former flyweight champion, super well-rounded, has looked good at bantamweight. Hasn't lost since he lost to Brandon Moreno. I know he's only fought at bantamweight twice, but I think the grappling is superior. I think the chin's better now that he doesn't have to cut weight all the way down to 125. And I have to go Deiveson Figueiredo. I don't think he's going to finish Marlon Vera, though. I really don't see that happening. I don't think Marlon's ever been finished in his UFC career. But, yeah, I'm not picking Marlon Vera to get it done. I don't trust Marlon Vera at all. And he can beat some guys maybe outside the top 10. But I think a lot of the guys in that top 10 beat Marlon Vera. He should have never even got a title shot against Sean O'Malley. And unless he catches Figgy and puts him to sleep with like a head kick, I think Figgy's going to go out there and beat him up. I think Figgy is better than him on the feet. I think he'll be faster than him on the feet. And also, even if he's losing on the feet, let's say Vera is better than him on the feet, I think Figgy takes him down with ease. We've seen him taken down and controlled, by Cory Sandhagen. We've seen him taken down and controlled. I think he even got taken down by Dominic Cruz. I think Pedro Munoz may even got a takedown or two, if I'm not mistaken. So we know Vera's grappling isn't that great. I think Figgy will expose it badly. It wouldn't even shock me to see Deiveson Figueiredo get a submission win, like a rear naked choke, after what he did to Cody Garbrandt. Honestly, it's not, if this fight goes how I think, maybe book Marlon Vera, Cody Garbrandt. I know Marlon Vera would still be ranked, Cody Garbrandt wouldn't, but I'd like to see that fight. I think that's a good matchup. But yeah, I'm going Deiveson Figueiredo to get it done. I think he outgrapples him, outstrikes him. I'm going to say he wins a decision. I just can't, until I see Vera get finished, I'm not going to pick him to get finished unless I see him rocked a bunch of times. He took everything Sean O'Malley had and still just stood there like a heavy bag and never even got rocked or hurt really. Ate a nasty knee mid-fight. I'm not picking Figgy to get it done. If Sean O'Malley, with some of the nastiest power in the division, couldn't get him out of there, I'm not picking Figgy to get him out of there unless it's via submission, but I'm picking Figgy via decision. I'm going to say 30-27 decision win. Marlon Vera starts slow. 3-round fight, not good for him. I'm picking Figgy. Moving up on the card. Next fight on the card, co-main event, Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. Listen, I think Oleksiejczuk took this on short notice. He lost to Kevin Holland, which is crazy. It was a month ago. They stopped it because of his elbow, and he complained, and everyone shit on him. And I told you guys, I'm like, look, I think it was a bad stoppage. It wasn't even broken. Just dislocated at the elbow. He could have popped it back in. And I picked him to beat Kevin Holland. But I think Kevin Holland's a scrub. Before that loss to Michel Pereira, there's no shame in that. Before that beat Chidi and Njokuani. Before that loss to Caio Borralho. Michal Oleksiejczuk, don't get me wrong, is a tough challenge. But I don't think he's smart enough to grapple. He goes out there and he throws down looking for a KO. Shara Bullet Magomedov is nasty on the feet. Nasty kicks, decent movement. His grappling is shit, but Oleksiejczuk's not going to shoot on a takedown. I mean, Magomedov would get exposed badly by any semi-decent, semi-competent grappler. He beat Tricoli in his last fight. Tricoli came in on short notice. He finished him. Beat Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva was taking him down. Magomedov is nasty off his back with the elbows, but I don't think Michal Oleksiejczuk's smart enough to grapple in this fight. I think he's going to go out there and do his typical aggressive kind of brawler boxing style. And I think Shara Magomedov is going to teep the body, kick the legs, use the lateral movement, and probably catch him with a nasty head kick or something. I'm going to pick Shara Bullet Magomedov to get it done via first round KO. I just don't think Michal Oleksiejczuk's that good. I don't think Shara Bullet's that good, to be quite honest. But I think on the feet, Magomedov actually is kind of special, especially when you don't bring the grappling threat to the game. Now, if Michal Oleksiejczuk comes in and just tries to go grappling heavy, I think he could win. But no doubt Shara's been working on that nonstop. He knows that's a massive hole in his game. So I'm sure he'll be fine, even if Oleksiejczuk shoots a takedown or two. He'll be able to work back up. I see him being the far superior striker. I see him getting it done. I'm going to say late first round KO for Shara Bullet Magomedov. Next fight on the card, main event, we have Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Very interesting main event. And typically in a fight like this, and I've been going back and forth on this fight since it's been announced. Typically in a fight like this, I'm looking at Umar Nurmagomedov and I'm like, you know what? He hasn't really fought great opposition. Cory Sandhagen's been kind of a proven elite guy for a while. And typically I would pick Cory Sandhagen. But I'm going to go Umar Nurmagomedov in this fight. I'm watching back some of their tape, right? And I'm looking at Cory Sandhagen's resume in general. And I know this sounds crazy. And I know this really maybe doesn't make sense. But I'm just trying to explain to you how I came to my pick. You look at Cory Sandhagen's resume. He's not finishing any guys that are that good. It's not like he has crazy KO power. I mean, his last finish was Song Yadong, who's a good win, but that was because of a cut. It was 2-2 going into the 5th round. It was a close fight. So that was only a doctor stoppage via cut from an elbow. Before that, Frankie Edgar. Before that, Marlon Moraes, whose chin was gone. You know, before that, when was it? Armbar against Mario Batista, which has aged quite well. That's actually damn good. But, listen, all the guys that he beat, and I know this is a huge stretch, but all the guys that he beat, Marlon Moraes, Frankie Edgar, Song Yadong, Marlon Vera, Rob Font, I think Umar easily beats them as well. And people see their Nurmagomedov name and they think, well, he's just a grappler. He's just a grappler. No, he's a really good striker, a really good kicker predominantly. And Cory is a really good striker too, and he's been mixing in his grappling. But even in the Rob Font fight, Rob Font has horrible takedown defense and horrible grappling. And I think he even took Cory Sandhagen down and controlled him for a little bit. I think he caught a kick. Cory relies a lot on his kicks. Umar can catch kicks and take him down, but also Umar's not going to be in peril if they're on the feet. And I know there's going to be people that say, oh, well, he got clipped by Bekzak Almahan. If you've seen Bekzak Almahan outside the UFC, you would know that he is a savage. He is a savage. I think he's a future top 15 guy at bantamweight. So 17-0, undefeated. And then you look back at some of Cory Sandhagen's fights. Again, got taken down by Rob Font. The Marlon Vera fight, he didn't look particularly good against Marlon Vera. I mean, I know he dominated him, but still, I didn't think it was that great of a performance. It was way too competitive. He was mixing in his grappling. It's not like, Cory mixes in a grappling in a lot of his recent fights to win. So I know he's an elite striker, but I feel like, I don't know if it's just he's trying to evolve his wrestling game or what. But I don't think, like what I'm trying to say here is, I don't think his striking is going to be too much for Umar on the feet. And it's not like he has brutal KO power that you have to respect outside of some of the, super, crazy unorthodox attacks, spinning wheel kicks, flying knees, and whatnot. And then, like, you look against Song Yadong took him down, even took his back, I think, in the first round. I'm looking at some of these fights. Piotr Yan took him down. TJ Dillashaw took him down. I know Aljamain Sterling took him down and just strangled him. Now, that was in 2020. I think Sandhagen has improved a lot since then. But I think Umar is good enough on the feet to hang with Cory Sandhagen, potentially even winning on the feet. And his grappling's nasty. His chain wrestling is nasty. And he's got really good jiu-jitsu and really good ground and pound, and he'll move them out. And I'm watching Cory Sandhagen even when he's on top against Song Yadong or Marlon Vera or Rob Font. I know he was injured in the Rob Font fight, so you have to take that into account. But some of his positioning there leaves him open to kind of like reversals. And I could see like Umar shooting a bad shot and then Cory trying to engage in the offensive grappling because he believes in his offensive grappling. And I think it could be one of those things where he's regretting it later. I should have disengaged because Umar out scrambles him and ends up on top. So I think Umar is going to put the complete package together here. I think he's going to go out there mixing the grappling. The striking is going to be on point. I think it's going to be competitive, but I think the grappling, the offensive grappling of Umar Nurmagomedov is going to be what wins him this fight. And I'm going to pick Umar to finish him via submission. I think Cory Sandhagen gives up his back far too much. And every time he gets taken down, he tries to get up. I talked about this with Dustin Poirier, and Cory Sandhagen kind of does it too to a certain extent. He gives up his back. Umar and some of these guys from Dagestan, they jump on your back and they just choke you out. So I'm going to pick Umar to find a rear naked choke. I'm going to say third round submission, Umar Nurmagomedov over Cory Sandhagen. But I could see Umar winning via decision, but I don't know. I do wonder, that is the one question mark here. How is Umar's gas tank? I think he kind of said after the Bekzak fight he was under the weather or whatnot, but who knows? I'm tired of hearing excuses. Who knows? So he could get exposed here. I don't think he does. I don't think even if he loses to Cory, people will say if he loses to Cory Sandhagen, he's a fraud, which is funny. The Dagestani privilege. If he gets brutalized by Cory Sandhagen, he's a fraud and he was never good. Cory Sandhagen's one of the best in the world. So I don't understand how that's necessarily a privilege unless you actually win and therefore you prove yourself. So I think Umar gets it done here. I think he puts it all together. I think the grappling is really what's going to win him this fight, but he's very, very good on the feet, very good kicker. I mean, he knocked out Hani Barcelos with a left hook. His last fight against Bekzak Almahan, recovered quickly from a nasty shot right behind the ear and then grappled the rest of the fight. Beat up Nate Maness, submitted Brian Kelleher. I know these aren't great wins, but a lot of these guys he just blew out. I mean, the only fight that was even mildly competitive was Bekzak, and again, I'm very high on him. So I think Umar would beat all the same guys that Cory beat, and I think Umar's very, very skilled. I have my doubts. Could this pick end up aging poorly? Yeah, it could. But I think Umar gets it done. I'm picking Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm picking him to win via submission. Third round submission, Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm going to say rear naked choke. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.